everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another series review. I just recently watched Power Rangers Dino Charge, and this episode was called Freaky Frightday. And you probably know it's taken from the movie called Freaky Friday, in which it's body swapping, but again, we have Nightmare in this particular episode, and then we have a professor monster, and then another monster who has a basketball hoop for a forehead and what they call backboard. And I don't know if I was too invested in the episode, but I didn't catch his name. But he was important because they triple teamed the Rangers once Nightmare used the body swapper ray. I think he called it the switcher ray, which I thought, yeah, that was very clever. And I didn't see any Viveks in this episode. Those are the monsters kin to the putties and the cogs that we were used to and seeing Power Rangers, and I think it was Power Rangers Dio, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm trying to figure out the whole timeline and progression. Because, like I've said, it's been forever since I watched Power Rangers. I watched Power Rangers Zeo, and then there was a time that I kind of grew out of it, and then they had Ninja Storm, and then I got back into it when I saw that Polly was involved with Power Rangers Samurai, and Felix Ryan. Of course, I love them both, and then I got invested with Super Dino Charge because it's really well done and it's extremely interesting. And it seems like it goes back to the origins, the dinosaurs and everything. I thought, oh, this is nostalgia. This is how it should be. And this episode is so hilarious because the Red Ranger, his cousin, has come. No, wait, I think it's Red Ranger. But his cousin comes, and of course, he's from planet Xander, and he feels that he comes from a very long line of royalty, and he wants to teach his cousin everything he knows about art and how aesthetics work, and of course, he disrespects his art, and he doesn't find it appealing at all. I'm like, what's wrong with his painting? His painting was perfectly symmetrical, and he had all the right color and lighting, and is an excellent portrayal of one of their heroes from their planet. And of course, cousin didn't feel that way, and it's so interesting that I don't think it was Heckle that sent out the monsters to do his bidding like he usually does. He was actually put in confinement. I thought, he was prior episode, he was betrayed, and I thought, yeah, he's getting betrayed quite a bit, actually. And I was hoping that Heko would keep his his position on that throne, but apparently, no, it's not going to happen. I really don't have that much to say about this episode other than the action in it. It was more based on action, and I really like seeing Xenoween in action because he's very intriguing. I like him as a character because I'm thinking that he's learning what it's like to be human, or he's learning more about emotion from the darker side of himself. Because I remember it was a prior episode, they were linked and they had a shard. Well, yeah, it's complicated, I'm sorry. I mean, there are a lot of details, but it was good to see Nightmare again, but I agree with my friend Brightstar in that Nightmare resembles a very warped-looking Whimsicott. He does. He's got that whole ram face and those really distorted-looking eyes, and he looks very freakish, and I'm thinking he needs a design makeover, but far as episodes are concerned, this is one of the funnier ones. This one was purely done for comedy's sake, and it was so it was so amusing seeing the Rangers in different bodies with different explosions find them. And poor Shelby, I felt for her. How am I supposed to fit in these? You stretched them out. If I get a hold of that monster who did this, he's gonna have another thing coming. I thought, ooh. Usually we don't see Shelby that irate, but she had every right to be with her clothing all warped out of whack, and poor thing. But I liked seeing Nightmare again, although poor guy, he just he failed miserably. He had a different outfit on this one too, and I thought that was intriguing. He looked like he was on a sports team. Well, that was different. He's not always in that one onesie with a little bunny head on the hoodie in the back. And yeah, I liked that design too. I thought that design was a little bit more specific to his character and made him stand out from the other villains as well. And I'm not really sure why they had a villain with a basketball hoop for a head. I couldn't figure that out. Why Heckle would send him out. I know why they had the professor, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this episode was really good, and of course we learned a valuable lesson. Because even though we might not have the same taste as somebody else, it's worthwhile to actually try out that particular hobby or interest in order to understand that person better. And who knows, you might actually enjoy doing that very thing that you thought that you wouldn't like. It's just sort of like eating the same food on routine and not ever trying anything different or new or exciting or exotic just because you think, oh, that looks disgusting. And I used to be this way. I used to absolutely loathe pizza. I know. Shock. I loathed it up to the point that I turned 10. And I had my first piece of pepperoni, and there was no turning back. I've become a pizza connoisseur since that time. I used to not like Chinese food. Of course, I adore Chinese food now. And yeah, there were similar things, and Mom and Dad were always trying to introduce me to new varieties of flavor. Variety is the spice of life. And I think that was the whole moral of the episode in and of itself. And seeing them work with their specified weaponry and moves, even though they weren't used to them. Yeah, it's all about change and becoming, actually adapting to it, acclimating, whatever you may want to address it as. But change is part of life. Life is risk. And if we're not flexible, then it can ultimately break us. And I remember I wrote something on the refrigerator a long time ago, and it still sticks to me with me today because it's something that came from my heart. But it said, if you aren't flexible and bend with the wind, you'll break. And I thought, yeah, that's true, because what I was remembering is inspirational quote that I saw when I was in college. It was a poster up in the math lab, which I frequented quite a bit. But it said, I am like rephrase. I am like a reed, stress blows through me like the wind. I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. But it's the same principle. It's just having that discipline of knowing there are destructive emotions, and the Rangers face them in this episode. At first, they're really kind of ticked off of what happened, and it's funny, it's comical, but yeah, we all go through that. I think we all have moments of tantrum. Like my dad, I remember what he said. He said, "You're basically having an adult tantrum." I can hear him say it. I said, "I know, Dad, and I'm sorry." He said, "Well, you're handling it a lot better than you would have 5 years ago. This new you, I really love it." And you're becoming quite the young lady. And of course, I would thank him profusely for that. He's like, how are you thanking me? You're thanking me for living. And I'm like, yeah, because you're partially responsible for me being here. Thank you. But yeah, he didn't understand that, I guess. But it's just that whole premise and the crux of the message, I thought, were really well delivered in this particular episode, and it was just a blast to watch. It was so funny. But I was happy to see Nightmare again, and I'm planning on actually doing a kind of a re-envisioning. Is that a word, re-envisioning? No, it's not. A revision of his look, just because I don't like it, and I think it could be better. He's a little bit too eerie for me. I mean, I like his design. There's part of me, the psychological horror part of my brain, just absolutely relishes his design because it's really unsettling. But the aesthetic part of my mind says, no, let's put a pin in that and resketch something else, make it better. That's pretty much all I have to say about that particular episode, and I'm hoping that they bring Nightmare back, because it kind of makes you think perhaps they will. Maybe we'll have another sleepwalking induced episode. That would be really insidious if